my name is Wendy Sheridan. I'm 30 years old, and 3 weeks before my wedding, I found out my mother had bought my sister a $6,500 ivory gown to wear to my ceremony. I wish I was exaggerating. I was standing in my kitchen, half distracted, scrolling through Facebook, when her post stopped me cold. There was my sister, standing in a bridal boutique, wearing a full-length ivory dress, train and all. The caption? "My beautiful girl is going to steal the show." 12 photos, champagne glasses in the background, smiles, celebration. Not for me. For her. My own mother had just publicly set the stage for my sister to outshine me at my own wedding. And the worst part? This didn't come out of nowhere. My mom had never believed in this marriage. She told me that directly. But what she didn't know was that I had already stopped playing along. And by the time she walked into my wedding venue dressed like a bride, everything was already waiting for her. Before I tell you what happened that day, let me take you back a few years, because this story didn't start with a dress. It started with favoritism. My sister Paige has always been the center of my mother's world. When Paige got engaged, it wasn't just an engagement. It was an event series. There were 3 separate dress shopping trips. The first one? Just the 2 of them. Fancy brunch, private appointment, dozens of photos online. The caption called her perfect. The second trip, I was invited. I drove almost an hour to be there. When I walked in, Paige was already in a gown, twirling in front of the mirror. My mom barely acknowledged me. I tried to compliment the dress. She shut me down immediately. "Don't overdo it, Wendy. You don't really understand her style." I spent the next 2 hours sitting quietly, holding a purse that wasn't mine, smiling when I was told to. The third trip? I wasn't invited at all. I found out later through social media. Professional photos, emotional captions, family comments pouring in. I wasn't part of that moment. And honestly, I never had been. At that time, I wasn't engaged yet. I had been dating Luke for about a year. No one really asked about him. At family dinners, conversations always circled back to Paige, her wedding, her registry, her plans. When my mom did turn to me, it was always dismissive, like I was an afterthought. Luke proposed to me on our front porch. No audience, no camera, no performance. Just him, slightly nervous, holding a small box. I said yes before he even finished asking. We laughed. The steaks he'd been grilling burned. It was imperfect, and it was real. That night, I called my mom. I told her I was engaged. There was a pause. Then she said, "I hope he knows what he's getting into." That was it. No congratulations, no happiness, just doubt. And in that moment, something in me shifted. I still tried, though. I invited her to go dress shopping with me. Twice. Both times, she refused. The second time, she sent a message I'll never forget. She told me to keep things simple, said the marriage probably wouldn't last, said I'd regret spending money on something I'd only wear once. I read that message over and over, not because I didn't understand it, but because I couldn't believe it was real. So I went without her, with my best friend, Megan, and a couple of coworkers. No champagne, no drama, no spotlight. Just a quiet little bridal shop and a kind consultant. I tried on 8 dresses. The 4th one felt like mine. Simple, soft, perfect. I cried in that fitting room, not because of the dress, but because, for once, something felt like it belonged to me. I thought that would be the hardest part. I was wrong. Within weeks, my mother began telling a different story to everyone. According to her, I had excluded her, ignored her, pushed her out of the wedding. Family members started reaching out, telling me to include her, to be kind, to fix things. But they didn't know the truth. They only knew her version. That's when I realized something important. Silence doesn't keep the peace. It just lets someone else control the narrative. Then came the breaking point. My mom told relatives I was marrying Luke for money. Luke, who drives an old truck. Luke, who builds things with his hands. That lie wasn't just insulting, it was intentional. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with him, and we made a decision. We weren't going to let her ruin this. Megan stepped in. She didn't just help, she built a plan, a detailed one, because she knew exactly how situations like this escalate, and she wasn't going to let mine spiral out of control. 6 weeks before the wedding, I confronted my mom, face to face. I asked her to support me, not compete with me. She didn't apologize. She turned it around, made herself the victim, brought up my father, who had passed away, used him to make me feel guilty. That was the moment I stopped hoping things would change. 10 days later, I saw the post. The dress, the ivory gown, the one that looked like it belonged at the altar, not in the audience. I called my sister. I asked her not to wear it. Just that one thing. She didn't say yes, she didn't say no, but her silence told me everything. So the plan moved forward. On my wedding day, I wasn't thinking about revenge. I was thinking about protecting something that mattered, for once in my life. When my mother arrived at the venue in that gown, she was stopped at the entrance, calmly, professionally, given a choice: change or leave. She chose to leave. My sister didn't. She changed, and she stayed. And for the first time in years, something broke in the cycle. The ceremony went on. I walked down the aisle on my own, not given away, because I didn't belong to anyone. And when I reached Luke, nothing else mattered. The rest of the night felt free, light, like something I'd been carrying for years had finally been set down. After the wedding, my mom tried to tell her version again. But this time, people had seen the truth. They didn't follow her narrative. Not anymore. Slowly, things started to change. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough. Months later, my sister met me for coffee. She admitted she should have said no. She just didn't know how. That was the first honest conversation we'd ever had. My mom eventually reached out too. Not with a perfect apology, but with something closer to real. And that was a start. I didn't tell this story so you'd hate her. I told it because I learned something I wish I understood sooner. Loving your family doesn't mean losing yourself. Keeping the peace shouldn't cost your happiness. And boundaries? They're not punishments. They're choices. That ivory dress? It's still in her closet, unworn, unreturned. A reminder of a day she tried to control and lost.